Why, hello there, I'm Anxious Cynic, and welcome back to another part of our Mine-imator tutorial. Today we're going to get started with getting Steve to move, but more importantly, interacting with objects. So what we're probably going to have happen here is we want to have his pickaxe to be stored in his dang old chest here. So I'm going to go ahead and prop this open. And you may notice here that it put the keyframe here where I had this because I didn't select the first keyframe. So that doesn't really matter though. One thing you can do if you happen to do something like that, this isn't a huge troubleshooting tip here, but we'll just go ahead and delete that first keyframe. And since this is the only other keyframe, it'll lock it how we want it. So we don't really need there to be one in the beginning. It's just one of those things, if you do that, it might be a little bit easy to kind of fiddle with it and feel like it's a problem, but it's not. So we'll just leave that there. And what I was kind of considering is actually having this thing kind of propped open. Not like this, but a little bit. You'll see when we get it. When we get things put together, we'll do it. So let's go ahead and bring in a pickaxe. And of course, it's going to be a diamond pickaxe. And let's see, where did we put it? Here we go. Let's go ahead and name this. Hang on. We'll name it pick_chest. Chesty. Okay. So the thing with the pickaxe here, when it comes to interacting with objects, what you're going to want to do is have two objects. If you're going to have them like pick it up, then you're going to need two of them, and I will explain that in a moment. First of all, let's go ahead and get this positioned how we want. Let's just say I am not liking this rotation point we have here. So we're going to go here to custom rotation point. We're going to lower this. Let's see, what does 8 give us? That's not too terrible, but it's a little bit too much. Let's try 7. Generally, I try to aim for it to be right on the center. That looks pretty good. It doesn't really matter, but it'll just kind of make it a little bit easier for me to position this the way I want, because I actually... Whoa, Steve, your face is huge. I want it to be upside down like this. And since this is the one that we're not going to be using, I'm actually going to scale it a bit like that, because it's small. It needs to go in the chest properly. So we're going to do like this. And let's see, where's our tilt? Let's grab our x-axis and we'll have it kind of tilted. I don't know how well we'll see this. It depends on, what kind of cinematography we want. But we're just going to try to get it a little bit realistic to, how it might be sitting in here. So do something like that. Just kind of have it. The most important part is the handle here. We want to make it positioned properly. Maybe, let's have it come this way. We want to have it sticking out towards him. It'll make it a little bit easier to animate him grabbing it. So let's kind of do that. And something like that. Let's make sure it's not clipping too bad. Got a little bit of clipping there. Something like that right there. There we go. All right. And then a little bit this way. Something like that. And there you go. You got his pickaxe right there. That might not be the best position for the camera. It depends on, again, what kind of cinematography we want. But just to make it kind of, there's the handle sticking out and he's just going to grab it. We'll just go with that logic for now. But what we want to do, we've got that one there. So we want to go ahead and spawn in another pickaxe. All right. And this one, we're going to change the name to Pick Steve. And what that's going to do is allow us to keep up with which one we're actually messing with. And for this one, let's go ahead and parent it. If I could click on the right thing, we're going to go into our folder here and we're just going to assume that Steve is right-handed. So now that we've parented it there, our item has moved down here. If you go to your Steve or your character rig, notice now the right arm has an arrow where you can drop down. And that means that there's obviously something parented to it. So we've got that, and you don't see the pickaxe. Well, that's because it was not in the 0 position because it spawned it over here. So what we want to do is to select our pickaxe and go to our position and just reset them all with right click and bring it to 0, because since it's parented, the position 0 is going to be the position that it is parented to. So you just want to note that. Also note that when you parent it, it's automatically selected lower half here. If I don't have that selected, it's parented to the top half of the arm. We want it to be on the lower half because, let's see if we can demonstrate this. If we take Steve's arm here, and it's all good, okay. So we want to bend it, and let's actually create a new frame. I don't want to mess up our positioning there. So if I bend it, notice how it bends with his arm. Let's actually rotate that so we can kind of exemplify it a little better. There we go. We're going to have to reset the point on this one as well. Anyway, so, yeah, we bend it and it bends with his arm, right? But if we change this to not the lower half and we bend, well, that doesn't work. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. So we want it to be parented to the lower half so that it'll work naturally with his arm, because that's where it's positioned. And it is kind of, it doesn't really matter, but again, I like having my rotation point kind of set properly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That actually might have to change a little bit. Let's see. Let's go ahead and bring this to 0. And then bring that one to 0. And I just kind of want the rotation point to be about where he's grabbing it. So that's kind of why I'm messing with it. So let's see, somewhere right around probably about 3. So 3 and 4, and that puts our rotation point about, like, hand level. So we'll go ahead and move it there. Now again, the rotation point, I don't think it really matters that much once it's parented, because it's only going to be doing whatever we do with Steve's arm. But, I just like to keep my stuff clean and know where things are and be able to move stuff around the way I want to. So that's why I'm doing it that way. You could do it however you see fit. All right, so now that we got the chest, the thing in the chest there, I'm going to go ahead and lower the lid. I kind of want to have it unkempt. I want to just have the lid kind of slightly open like that. Kind of, if you're a miner and you do stuff, you may not always close your chest all the way. So it kind of makes the house seem a little more lived in. He's got his stuff in there and it's not fully closed. He uses it every day, so why would you close it? And what we're going to do here, this may look silly, but what we're going to do is actually have our pick, the one in his hand, we're going to have it be invisible. So what we want to do is click the visibility one, and it's going to be invisible until we want it to show up, and we'll get to that hopefully in a second. Taking a long time to get around to this. So now what we want to do is have Steve, he gets up and he's going to churn and walk over to his thing there and pop the lid up and grab his pickaxe out. So what we want to happen there, let's go ahead and zoom in on our timeline a bit to get some more control over it. Maybe he stands there for a second. We'll give him a slight delay and we'll work that out. And then let's just say he's going to churn. Let's see. There's different ways you can do it. Maybe we would have him just churn and then walk, or we would have him churn as he's starting to walk. And I kind of feel like that might be a little more natural. So we're going to try that one. So we're going to take Steve and turn him like this and kind of have him do like that. And since this is going to be a gradual thing, let's see if we can use this ease in and ease out. Something like that. And this might be a little bit too quick. Let's try it like this. That might be a little bit too slow. There we go. All right, so as you can see, this is a little bit wonky. This isn't how we really want it to play out ultimately, right? So what we're gonna do, maybe right around here, we'll make this one, we might have to play with our keyframes a little bit. Let's just make that one linear. And what if we have him churn a bit more? So one thing you want to know is, just like what we did with the arm before, anytime you're having a churn or something, be mindful of the weight of the character and how they would move naturally, because you don't just kind of like pivot on both feet and things like that. So we're going to get to that, but just keep that in mind. That anytime you're doing a movement, try to imagine that the character has to have their weight placed somewhere, just like a real person would. All right, so you see that we're getting this this little thing, that little stop there, and that is because of this. So if we do like that, see, it kind of gives us that gradual ease out that we want there, and stiff. So now that we have that, we're actually going to drag this one out due to the way our keyframes are playing out. And let's see if we give this one that keyframe. Yeah, see, that's not so bad. And actually, I might be able to shorten it up again. Something like that. You bring this one out a few frames. And then, consequently, move this one out a few frames. That's not too bad. We'll work with that. We'll see what we got here. All right, so the positioning here is going to have to be finessed a bit. So what we want is when Steve goes to churn, we need... See, one of the problems we're having actually is the folder is back here. We actually want him to be more on Steve so that we get a more natural churn. That's something I may have messed up before, so we're going to have to fix it now. And basically what we'll do, you know, instead of having to go back and like rework all of this and whatnot, what we're going to do is actually change the position, change the position with an instant keyframe maybe, and that should hopefully help rectify some of our issues. We can actually, let me see here. Let's see how it looks if we move them back a little bit like this, as far as them getting up goes. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of this one and see what that looks like. All right, and that puts him right about there. That's pretty close to how we want it. It's not exact, but let's see. That's pretty much like, ideally it would be like dead center of his character, but that might be close enough to work with. We'll try it. So one thing you're seeing here is that he's kind of churning, and it's not, you know, you would probably be putting your weight on this leg if you were churning this way, I think. So this churn is kind of just his leg floating to the side. So what we want is to go ahead and select his legs, and let's just go ahead and kind of tease this around. So let's just say, just kind of get this leg out of the way for a second, and here, have this one. All right, so it might kind of have it churn a bit and come back a little bit. See, that's really rough, but what you kind of want to do is like eyeball it and get the leg to stay about where it was as he goes to move, if you can see that. So, you know, this can be a little tricky, kind of trying to combine a walk animation with a character churning, but it can be done. It can be done. It's just a little rough. But we're going to try it live and see if we can make anything happen here. Go ahead and turn that. All right, so what we want the left leg here to kind of churn, right? So you want it to do like that, and then maybe like this. Doop. All right, maybe the right leg needs to start swinging around sooner, so let's put this kind of keyframe on there, transition. It's happening a little bit too slow there. We need him to be planting his right foot very soon. So let's go ahead and reset it. Kind of turn it out there, see what that looks like. Let's move this back. Let's see if we can actually get rid of that transition for a second. All right, one of the problems here is that I've got it coming out a little too far. I was basically just moving it out there to get it out of the way so we could animate. So let's make that come up a little bit. All right, so he begins to slide here. Right about there, and that's where we want, basically, if that's where he starts to move more, then that's where we want the legs to start transitioning more to a walk instead of this like beginning to walk motion. So what we're going to do is at this point, animating more of a walk animation here. Let's go ahead and zoom in there. And at this point, we want the right leg to be coming back. Let's have the left leg. Now we're just eyeballing this for the moment, just to get a feel for how everything is going to look. So we're kind of getting it, like he steps, and then his left leg starts to come forward. As you can see, we're getting a little bit of issue here with the legs clipping into each other. So what we might want to do is have, let's have this keyframe kind of slide him out a little bit. Like this. There we go. That looks a little better. As he churns, he kind of like edges away from the bed, right? So then, let's see. Maybe this needs to come out a little bit further and have it maybe churn a little bit more. You know, because you might walk a little funny when you're trying to make it churn like this. Let's see. Something like that. And let's go ahead and have this pop out some more and start to churn a little bit more forward. It's the noise of an airplane or something outside. I don't know if that's coming over the mic. All right, so you notice how his leg's kind of doing that. Let's try putting a transition on it. Hang on, let's see. All right, that still looks a little bit too much. Let's see if we can bring that in just a tad. Let's bring that back to a normal linear transition. All right, I feel like it's kind of taken too long. There. Yeah. All right, so as soon as his other leg comes down, maybe we'll have his left leg start to kind of come out because he's putting his weight on the right side. All right, so some of the problem we're having here is that this isn't lining up, so we need to make this come out a little bit more so his leg doesn't look like it's just sliding around everywhere all the time. So we go from 9.74 to 10 something and then back into 8. I think it coming in a little bit might be a little better. Let's make it negative 6.5. Let's see what that looks like. Still seems a little too far out. Let's try that. Once again, this is probably going to end up being a little rough. I just kind of want to give you the principles of like how something like this might work. So then you can finesse it however you please. And I feel like his left leg should be turning a bit more there. Yeah, that's a little better. All right. So this is a really brief kind of moment in time here. So it's kind of difficult to, let's see, right about there, I think is where his leg should be beginning to go back again. Right there. And then the other one should be coming forward. Let's go ahead and start doing kind of a typical walk animation thing here. Come on. Let's make that one go out a little bit. And the right one can twist a little bit here. All right. So he does that. And then right about there's where his foot needs to start going back again. Try something like that. Once again, it's a little rough. Let's just see if we can make it happen. Let's go ahead and have it turn back a bit. Something like that. Have you turn a little bit. All right, and then here we're going to have them both come in. So our body is still churned here. Let's see if we can straighten that out. That actually might have been throwing us off a bit. Let's see. All right. So you see here his legs get really floaty all of a sudden at the end here. Let's try to transition that. That looks a little bit better with the transition, but we can refine it a bit if we can. All right. So you see like here his left leg comes out a little bit too far. So we want to bring it in. This is a very small step that he's making. There we go, and the right foot is coming back too much as well. Let's go ahead and give it a bit of a bend there. Not that much of a bend. Let's do about 3. All right, and then one thing we did is like I reset our rotation on the Y, and this one is not reset at all. So let's go ahead and kind of incrementally bring that down. Let's make that one 5. Let's make this one 15 if we can. Something like that. Let's see. Let's see what that looks like at a wider angle. All right, so this delay here is actually causing a bit of a problem. Let's see if we can get rid of that and see what that looks like. Let's move it up a bit. All right. And that still is coming back a little bit too much. Let's see. All right, one of our issues here, I think, just needs to come in a bit. Yeah, I think that it was kind of flinging out a little bit randomly, so. All right, so what we're gonna do here is, since he begins this churn, we may actually want the body to turn a little bit, or to right around here or something. So let's do like this. Let's have the body turn just a tad. Let's see. Maybe a bit more. He's kind of like churning with it to go. Let's make it about 19. Ugh, he's walking sideways a little bit, but yeah, so what we may want, just go ahead and use the body to kind of get him to churn a little bit better, a little more realistically. Yeah, that's better. All right. Oh, this is taking a long time. Sorry about this. Such a small move. Once again, I want to show you guys like all the steps so you can, instead of getting a little tip on how to do it and not really understanding how to implement it into your own animations, I want to be able to show you exactly how you can do things for yourself. So let's actually try to do that and make his body line back up. Yeah, that's a little better. There we go. And let's see if we can do something with his arms here. So like right around here, maybe his left arm will kind of hang and come back a bit. And the right arm will probably come forward a tad. Or actually, that might be reversed. Since his right leg is coming forward, maybe we'll have his left arm forward a bit and the right arm go back. That's generally the principle of a walking animation. I'm not really sure that it works the most logically here, but we'll just go with that principle for now. And if it doesn't work, then you can just kind of reverse the positions later on. So you see that there is a bit of slidiness on his feet there when you watch it in slow motion. We could correct that, but I'm not sure we'll get to it. We'll see. So we want to go ahead and reverse these. Let's do like this. And then here, for now, we'll just kind of do like we did before, and we'll bring them back. And we'll go ahead and give that the same transition. Let's move this one over just a tad. Let's do like that. Something like that. One thing we want to do on his left leg here is it's still bent. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit more of a gait. Something like that. All right. All right. So again, this is really rough. This is not how I would leave it in my animation, but you get the idea. Like he's just churning and walking over. And let's see if we can go ahead and have him bend down and pick up his stuff. All right. So now that he's here, we got all this lined up. And what we're going to want him to do is probably bend over a little bit. Go ahead and do that bend. And have his left arm come out. Let's see. Since he's so close, let's see if we can just kind of do that. Let's see. All right. So it does that, and then he's going to fling it up. Something like that. Doop. And then we're going to animate our chest with that movement. So we want to click here and click here. And then we're going to take the chest lid and make it come up. Something like that. There. See, there we go. And I'm actually going to adjust his arm a little bit. I would rather have it maybe straighten out a bit, come up a little bit higher. Now, once again, this is kind of rough. What I'm going to do is churn, let's see. Where's my transition? This one. Let's see what this does. Here, let's actually put the same transition on both of these. Give them a little more life. All right. Actually, we're going to leave these on this. And I'm going to manually create that effect that I want. So we're going to make this one come out just a bit more. Something like that. That would gives it just a little bit more realism. And we're just going to leave Steve's arm at that for now. Once again, you can use these tips and tools to make it look a lot better, more realistic if you want. All right, and let's just have the body kind of... Let's see if he can do with a... Maybe a bit much, let's see. We'll do something like that. And let's have his head kind of dip a bit. Let's put this transition here on it. Do like that. There we go. And let's have his right arm kind of come up. Let's go ahead and give it a bit of a, yeah, something like that. It's not too terrible. There we go. I feel like his left arm needs a little bit more of a transition on it. Let's try this one. Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit better. There we go. And then after this, maybe he'll start to churn slightly. And once he does this little churn here, We're going to have his arm kind of flow with that motion. Just a little bit. It might be over-exaggerated with this short amount of time I'm working with here with the keyframes, but let's just see. All right, let's see if we can possibly get a little bounce out of that. Oh, that's such a short time frame here. Yeah, that's not working. Hang on. Let's get rid of that. All right, let's have that kind of come out a bit more. It's a little bit better. Something like that. It's not perfect. All right, it's a little bit too far over. Something right around there. You kind of just want to make sure things don't float around too much. You want to make sure that when something moves, it kind of stays with the program of what's going on. Let's try that. Let's have it do like that. That's pretty good. That's pretty close enough. All right, so when he churns, his right arm's going to come up and over. No, his right arm. Stop selecting other things, Cynic. All right. So let's do like that. We'll use our axes here to try to get a natural churn here on his arm. And then along with this, we're going to have his body bend a bit more and churn a bit more and come in. Something like that. It doesn't have to actually touch. Like, once again, this is something you may cover up with your cinematography. So let's actually get rid of this keyframe and see if we can kind of get this to flow a little better. Let's give it that. Yeah, something like that. Let's have that come in. There we go. That doesn't look too bad. And what we'll do is have him bring it in. Just come out and scroll over on our timeline here. All right, so once it comes in, what we want to do is kind of show maybe a slight movement. Like that. Same with the body. It's a little bit too much. There we go. Let's go ahead and save that, and then we're going to have him more or less pop back out. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, it's not too bad. Let's go ahead and give that a transition. Whoa, that's real quick lag. All right. Okay, that transition is not working out. Let's try one of these. Yeah, that's a little bit better. We'll go with that for now. All right, and as this happens, we want to have his left arm kind of return to a normal position here. Somewhat normal, still kind of a relaxed state. All right. See, our arm here is still keeping this transition from earlier, so we're going to have to give it a different one. Yeah, that's a little better. Let's go ahead and reset this one to linear, because whatever your last keyframe was set to as far as transition, when you create new ones, it's going to automatically have that one, so keep that in mind if you get any little errors there. So it basically comes up like this, and at this point, this is where our invisible pickaxe comes into play. All right. So we're going to do this, and we're going to have it become visible. And if I can see what I'm doing, I'm going to come over here, and we're going to have it like this. Oop, wrong. Oh my god, hang on. -90. All right, we want to rotate it on this axis. Here we go. And there you go. Something like that. I'm going to have his right arm, put a keyframe there. So we want his right arm to come up. And probably right around here. Let's have it come back down. Let's go ahead and reset our keyframes. All right, and as you can see, that kind of happens relatively quickly, so we want to give it one of these. And that happens quickly as well, so let's drag those out. It's not too terrible. Let's bring that in a little bit. Bring that one in. There we go. It's not too bad. So again, depending on your camera angle here, see what we can do is have the pickaxe start out even further. See, I have this double clicked, so it's white, so no matter where I go in the timeline, it's going to affect that keyframe. So I can kind of scroll up here and see the position of it and know that I want it to be just a tad bit deeper. Something like that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and see what this all looks like in sequence. There we go. That is some of the roughest animation I think I've ever done, but you get the idea. I'm sorry that it doesn't look 100%. I would love to give you AAA quality results in such a short time frame, but you know, this kind of stuff, it takes a lot of work, a lot of finessing. That little transition there of him bending down is like way too fast. It depends on, you know, you can animate cartoony and make things like that work. You don't have to always go realistic. I generally try to go realistic depending on how I'm, you know, trying to portray things, but you know, that quick kind of jerky motion can be used as a, you know, a comedic, cartoony kind of thing. So don't limit yourself to just one way of animating. But this should give you the basic idea of like how to make Steve pick up objects and do things. And since we have some of these principles covered, I may try to go ahead and edit a little bit more off camera, like say walk him to the door and open the door or whatever. And we'll start off from there, because the same thing that we will be doing to get him to go to the door is what we just did here. So I'll try to cover that in the meantime, and then when we come back, we'll have him go outside and have other things happen, maybe something like that. But hope this was helpful, and hope you learned something. And I guess that pretty much covers it. We just have him walking over. He walks over, he lifts up the lid, and he grabs his pickaxe out, and there he goes. He's ready to head outside and start some mining. So that's it for this part of our Mine-imator tutorial series. Hope it was helpful. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it didn't drag on too long. Hope you learned something. And that's it. Check out the cards in the video for other stuff that I've done, and I will see you in the next video.